Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Butterfly Effect podcast. I'm Jack and I'm here with Liam.
How's it going?
In today's episode, we are going to be ranking all of the episodes of The Walking Dead Season 1. Okay, so in a channel first, what me and Liam can say this time around is that we share the exact same opinion. So guys, we're going to be going through each episode, trying to justify our position, why we ranked the episode where we did. So let's get straight into it.
Okay, so I know this is going to trigger everyone instantly. We've gone for episode 5, No Time Left, as our opener. Now, I'm just going to say it off the bat. Yes, it has the amazing emotional ending where we lose Lee. And I know this is probably the most emotional scene in video game history, potentially. The reason Jack and I have put this last is we don't think one amazing scene justifies this being top of the rank. Like, I know a lot of people think, you know, this is where it should be placed. Yes, it's such a great scene. And I also really admire the scene with Ben's speech where he stands up to Kenny if he didn't drop Ben in episode 4. I think the episode is a little rushed. If you look at the other episodes, they're sometimes up to 3 hours long. This one is just an hour and a half long, and I felt very robbed for time. When I was playing it, I felt like I was just brushing characters off, killing them off left, right, and centre. It's not, you know, long after Ben goes that Kenny goes, and then we're just left with Krista and Omid, and then we don't see them again. It feels very rushed. And I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of the ending, that the stranger is the person we robbed the supplies from in episode 2. It doesn't really make sense if you chose not to steal the supplies. So a lot of people felt very robbed by this ending, and they would have had an alternative stranger. So, yeah, sorry guys, I know that's going to offend a lot of you, but we've put episode 5 last.
Okay, so the main reason that we put Long Road Ahead in 4th place is because, at least in our minds, it feels like it's the chapter where the game slows right down, which is obviously a bit ironic given the fact that you're actually in an RV and on a train for most of the chapter. But it just, I don't know, like there's bits in here that I really like in terms of the emotional moments with Catcher and Duck. You have some like great chat with Chuck as well. But at least in my mind's eye, when I get to this chapter, I think, oh my god, it's that bloody train scene again, where you have to wander around for half an hour looking for specific objects. You're going back and forth through the carriages. It just takes ages to get this thing going. One of the things that other episodes do that are higher up in this ranking that I feel that they achieved is that it felt like you're constantly moving forward at a good pace. This one was very stop-start, and that is the fundamental reason why this is 4th place on the list. I think another reason as well, just speaking for us personally, is that the characters, I'm just less invested. Of course, we do meet Chuck, who I like personally. Omid and Krista, they're quite bland for me. I quite like the original crew with like Larry, Lily, Glenn even from the start. So yeah, like while it does have good moments in it, I think that episode 3 does fall 4th place on our list.
Taking the bronze medal today will be around every corner. Now, Jack knows how much of a headache I had whether this should get bronze or silver medal. There is a lot I absolutely love about this episode. I love the creepy piano score while you're in the school itself. I think the choices matter quite a lot, actually, because you've got the whole Ben drop sequence, which is really powerful and a really good way to end, you know, the episode. There's a lot of cool stuff happens, whether it's the awesome character and the introduction of Molly, whether it's the fact Clem gets her first shot, which is really cool. I quite like the fact as well, you have to discipline Clem when she goes through the door. You can choose to scold her a little bit, or whether not to bring her to Crawford. And it does have the best cliffhanger when Lee gets bitten. Something I wasn't really a big fan of, which is why this doesn't get, you know, maybe first place or second for me, was the fact that I did find the school scene very tedious, where you're going back and forth doing all these tasks for everyone, going to the garage, and how much out of your way you have to do to get the extra Molly clip. The mansion bit can be a bit of a drag as well. Jack and I also did feel that the whole Crawford ending up being zombified, a little bit of a cop-out. We would have liked to have seen the community in all its glory. I get they cover this in later seasons, having human communities, but I don't know. I really would have liked to have seen Crawford the way it was.
So, A New Day, episode 1 takes second place on our list. I think the reason that we put it here is mainly rooted in nostalgia. I mean, speaking for me, I've probably played this episode the most out of all of the episodes. There's potentially a bit of bias there. It's really great meeting the characters for the first time. You meet Lee, there's immediately a backstory going on with him because he's clearly committed murder. So as a player, you're immediately put in an ambiguous position of, you know, do I like this guy or don't I? You meet Clem, who's like this adorable little girl. And of course we meet the crew, as I mentioned before, later on. Actually, another plus for this chapter is all to do with the variety of locations. So we see that Clem's in a tree house. We move on to a farm where we can meet Herschel and Sean Green and the like. We move to a drugstore. We also go to a motel. I think that we move at a good pace, which, say, comparisons like episode 3, I don't think it achieves as well as that. Another thing is I think that they really double down on emotional development in this episode. Like, the things that come to mind for me straight away are when you play the voice recording on the phone in Clem's house and you can clearly tell that something's going down with her mum and dad, because obviously the apocalypse has just started. Think about the woman at the motel. You have like these very heavy moral decisions thrust upon you, and like your humanity, but also like your skepticism in terms of giving the gun over. It's really present in your mind, and I just think that those moments are handled beautifully. I think perhaps as like one of the negatives is that the choices were not as impactful. I mean, if you're talking about Carly and Doug, for example, I felt that Doug was perhaps slightly under-characterised, and of course if you keep Doug alive, you then see the benefits of keeping Doug because he has the various gadgets and the odd line here or there. I don't really get that with him in episode 1. Whereas with Carly, it's clearly layered from the beginning that she knows that you're a murderer, she's a journalist, she's a potential love interest. So like it felt it was weighed one particular way as a player when it came to that choice.
And gold medal, of course, goes to our favourite episode, Starved for Help. So yeah, like you could argue that maybe they introduced the whole cannibal storyline way too early. And maybe you could say there are slow moments, like when you're going around the St. John farm, building a swing and whatnot, or like patrolling the fence with Mark. But I really liked it. It definitely felt like the eeriest episode, and it was packed with horror. It gave us the strongest intro where, after months of not being able to play Walking Dead, we're thrown straight in where we have to hack a guy's leg off. It has the added storyline of the car at the end and whether to steal the supplies, which later on feeds into the bigger picture of the game. We really like the transition of how you're at this bleak motel, and then, you know, you're all starving, and then you're suddenly at this really sunny, beautiful farm where the music's lovely. And then towards the end, where you fall out with the St. John's, everything goes raining, and then the sky turns green, and it's just really beautiful to see. I just really like the eeriness of what's behind the barn door. It is such an iconic scene for me. I really like the amount of choices as well, such as whether you spare or kill the St. John's. It really does well from a moral point of view of shaping Lee and how fit he is for Clementine. which is a big theme of the story going forward. We have a good amount of characters as well. It doesn't overload us with people. Yeah, we have Mark and Jolene and the Three St. Johns, but we didn't feel absolutely littered with characters. It added some, but the level was really nice and they were really engaging. So yeah, I think a lot of people share this opinion as well, but I absolutely loved Starved for Help as an episode. And when I look back at The Walking Dead Season 1, I definitely think of this episode the most. It was just such an iconic episode for me and one that I really cherish.
Fantastic. So yeah, that sums up our Season 1 episode ranking of The Walking Dead. But we did ask you guys as well what your favourite episode was so that we could build a community response to this question. And we're going to pop that up on screen now. So we've had quite a lot of votes on this one. And as we can see, Starved for Help, Like Us, came out on top. Second place, No Time Left, so episode 5. Third place, same as us, Around Every Corner. Fourth place, Long Road Ahead. And fifth place, A New Day. So nearly similar, but there's a big divide there, mate, between the opening episode to the season and the last episode to the season. What's your first thoughts on seeing that?
Yeah, so clearly our list and our rank literally is identical, other than our silver medal is switched with the bottom episode, bottom of the barrel. Now, firstly, I guess we have to defend A New Day a little bit about why we put it there. Maybe we are being blinded by nostalgia. I get not a lot happens, but I think it's what you said, Jack. I really like the scene in the pharmacy where there's a lot going on. You get to go to the motel and do the cool action sequence. You get to help Doug out. You get to do the whole radio thing. There's just a lot going on, and I think, yeah, I am blinded by nostalgia, but I don't really mind that. It's just, it was such an iconic episode that I played a zillion times and I have really fond memories of.
Yeah, and I suppose equally I'll come under attack episode 5 by saying that for me, episode 5 doesn't really start until you get to the stranger. Like episode 5, it's just you basically going along rooftops. I mean, at least it was for me. Of course, you have the whole section where if Ben's alive, you know, him and Kenny can die in the alleyway. So there is a little bit of, you know, whatever your choices were. But even when you get to the stranger, it feels like that it's a bit underwhelming. Like it feels as though you had to choose a particular way to justify that particular thread. Ultimately, you're then basing it on the ending and not the episode as a whole. So yeah, like, as controversial as it is, I'll stand my ground on that one. We'll have to see what the keyboard warriors have for us in the comments, mate.
I think as well, like my opening half an hour of episode 5, I was by myself as Lee, so I didn't have any dialogue. I couldn't talk to anyone, and I think that maybe made it a bit more tedious for me. But as you're right, you know, I showed a blog where someone ranked all the episodes of The Walking Dead, and this was their ultimate favourite episode out of all the seasons. And they were only really talking about the final emotional scene, and I get how awesome that scene is. It's like the moment that had almost every person in the world in tears when they played it. But like I said before, I don't think you can justify this as making it the best episode. Yet, arguably the coolest scene. But from an episode standpoint, it's like, yeah, you're literally just walking along rooftops, and it's so rushed to me. It's an hour and a half long, and it just really doesn't do justice for Kenny, Krista, and Omid, in my opinion. So yeah, guys, obviously, there's quite a big transition there. Feel free to praise Starved for Help. Let us know why you ranked it the way you did, the same as us. Maybe I missed something there. And obviously for the people who, you know, trashed A New Day and praised No Time Left, let us know why we're wrong in the comments. We love reading every comment and we do get to them. So yeah, we'll try our best to justify our decisions.
Absolutely, I'll be looking forward to read them. Alright then guys, we're going to wrap up the video there. The Walking Dead journey hasn't finished just yet. You can look forward to our 400 days analysis next week. And of course, future Walking Dead videos as well. So that's all from me. Anything to add, mate?
No, that's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for joining, guys. We'll see you in the next one.
Brilliant. See you later, guys.